in the oh, the communications committee, this one, and then the book club.
Yeah, Doc. And let's give our pronouns too.
Hi everyone, I'm Duck. I've been in the DEDSA for about a year. My pronouns are they, them.
Can we hear from Katie?
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a new member, obviously. Um, since I'm new, I haven't really done much. Oh, pronouns, she, her. What else am I supposed to say?
And you're good. You don't have to go too deep into it. If you have a fun fact
Okay.
you want to share, you want. But that's all good. That's all good. Yeah, thank you for introducing yourselves. Lewis.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Um, I'm Louis Katakalos, he, him. I've been in for since October. Um, I bounced around the committees, but I am the convention committee co-chair. I want to focus all my efforts on that. Um, and I'm excited to be a part of the uh, direction of the chapter and to tell the program commission that they owe the convention committee stuff.
Mm-hmm. Money specifically. Um, and they have put out a hit on us. Ty.
Hi, I'm Ty Mock. A new member now, about 3 weeks in. No, I'm the current chapter co-chair. Um, I'm also it spelled my name wrong in the caption. That's mean. Um, I'm also a housing justice co-chair, and glad to help anybody should they need assistance, whether they be a new or current or otherwise member. Um, but yeah, good to be here. I'm excited.
And finally, Yannick.
Good evening. My name's Yannick. I've, excuse me, been a member since about November, mid-November. Um, I'm on the convention and the communications committees, um, and I'm a big sit around the table and discuss guy. So I like the committee structure, um, but I hope to uh, offer whatever energy I can to the program commission.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the energy everybody's been given. And I'll just finish us off. I'm Adem. I'm a membership coordinator. Hopefully, I onboarded you. And yeah, my pronouns are he, him. All right, we can finally move on to review of previous action items. So all we have is just going over some potential priorities. A few of us, uh, a few of us put together. I I guess we can, yeah, we can come back to it in old business, but I was just wondering, for the each of the ones we had, I just want to go look at them. Do we have all of them? Let's see here. So we had, I don't know if it was serious, mandatory service, political education, mutual aid. Do we have all of those? An example of what all of those could be already? I have to say I kind of did a last minute for political education. In fact, I don't even know if I finished it. Awesome. Then we can go over it in a little bit, not right this second. I just wanted to make sure. Uh, and no pressure to anybody. All right, I'll move on to old business then, if that's all right with everyone. Great, great. So basically, I just want to go over the survey responses. Hey, Killian, welcome, welcome. See what new ideas people had. I just skipped straight to the last question, but as you guys can see, basically, for anybody who hasn't been to one of these, we're seeing what people's feelings are with like how comfortable they are in DSA, seeing what they're involved in and how that influences their opinion of our priorities, and just seeing, what people think of each one if they have suggestions. So, yeah, going to the last question, what should be the priorities? I think we got a few new responses. Um, Generally, we're seeing, I think the f number one is the latest. Is that why? Um, let's see.
Are the survey results public?
They're here,
Okay.
I think. Actually, the results aren't public. Um, I can I think we don't see each person's name, so we can make them public. We can talk about that in a second. But yeah. I'll link it for anybody who hasn't gotten to it yet. Uh, if you're, just getting involved now, you might not have seen it, so no problem there. Um, Mine is here. I was basically saying, maybe we could look at Christina Park. We could look at political education, which I talked about, and then we could look at socialists in office, um, as a way to get a little legitimacy around here. Um, Somebody else talked about action with the AI data centers. Uh, and yeah, that's about it for that one. And basically, priorities, just for anybody who doesn't know, it's just the thing we're going to be working on most for the year. So like the primary thing in our face right now. Um, Independence, so clean break, um, and making sure we've got our own political identity here, along with a article. I will read that article, I swear, whoever put that, eventually. Mutual aid. Lovely answer. Um, Immigration, defense, immigrant defense, membership engagement. So we got a pretty wide range of ideas. Political education, mutual aid, and events, and SIO. Um, Labor. That's the first labor one I've seen. Um, International solidarity and environmentalism, especially with a focus on Afrofuturism. Um, Base building and engagement. Ice Watch again, and um, agitating based on class, I guess more kind of engagement slash polyed. So yeah, thanks for going over all of those with me. If you guys want to go over the other like answers, I'll send it over to you guys. I always have trouble sending like the editor link, but I'll post it here. I think this will work. All right. Uh, does that sound good with everybody? Uh, if we want to comment more on those, maybe we could do it in yeah, we could do that now. Does anyone have any of these that we haven't talked about yet? Um, that like people are like, yeah, we need this for sure.
Can I stack real quick?
Mm-hmm.
What environmental work have we done in the past? I know we don't have I don't think we have any eco-socialist working group right now. Have we ever had one?
Not since I joined.
Yeah, I don't think in the last year or so we haven't had anything. I think that's a really cool opportunity to do environmental stuff. But that's all I got for a stack.
All right. Did you want to say anything for the data center stuff, Aria?
Yeah, there's this guy I met at one of the dumb honking waves or whatever. I'm just there to talk to people mostly. And he was a guy he was a what is he? He's a volunteer for Sierra Club. And I was talking to him because I was saying that I would love to know. I've been trying to figure out what we can do for the data centers. And I was asking him, what is Sierra Club doing for data centers? And actually, I met one of the women too, who's in Sierra Club, and they're apparently starting a coalition. Um, and DSA could potentially join that if we wanted to. I have some
Yeah,
info of
definitely.
someone we can talk to. I can message them since I know them, or if someone wants to take hit, I kind of have a couple of other things that I would plan on doing, but uh,
So,
I can get that info to whoever needs it.
yeah, thank you. I just want to
They're not
mention,
considering; they're doing it.
yeah, I'll just DR here. If you want to make a resolution, even if it doesn't become a priority, a chapter priority, those of us who have made resolutions before, myself, Killian, Ty, Wayne, like we'd be happy to help you make the resolution just so that we can get a working group going, so we can get the work going there. So yeah, if you have something that is you just want to bring to a general body meeting, it doesn't have to be convention, but yeah, I just wanted to add tag that in. This isn't the only time we're making decisions on in the chapter work.
No, yeah, I understand it. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to be that guy who constantly just like finds the new shiny thing to do. I did want to bring it up, you know, because I was talking to him about it. But I
Yeah,
know I
yeah.
have a couple of other things that I wanted to do. So, if you guys want me to focus on that, though, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm glad to see data centers a couple times, a few times.
okay, I'm done.
Um, yeah, sorry if I spoke over you at all. Um, I just yeah, go ahead, Lewis.
Hey, thanks, Adam. I just have to go in a couple minutes and wanted to talk about this real quick. Um, so I know that there's a lot of some of the same faces that are in the convention meeting, but maybe there's some people who are not. Um, in our agenda, we have a time block set out to discuss the chapter priorities, um, and uh, a few other time blocks that are pertinent to what the program commission uh, oh, they're pertinent to the program commission. Um, so I basically want to, and I've asked the steering committee. I won't be at the meeting today, but I'm asking them to kind of assign them to you specifically. Um, sorry, let me just pull it up.
Yeah,
Uh,
what is the time block?
right now we have a basic time block from 2 to 4 that is going to consist of uh, discussing the chapter priorities, planning, and I have it as uh, chapter priorities planning and agenda discussion. Um, that's how I've understood uh, how the convention will work. Again, it's my first convention. Um, but is that something that makes sense to you guys? And uh, can this time block, for about an hour, just be handed over to you guys to handle?
Like the structure of it?
Yeah, because I assume from everything I've heard, we talk about and vote on chapter priorities and planning and maybe a yearly agenda and things like this. This is separate from the actual steering committee elections. Um, but if you guys can think about that, think about how you would run that. Uh, if you need more time, if you need less time, um, things like that, so that we can take that off of our plate, because it seems like it's mostly your guys' domain.
That makes a lot of sense. I guess I will. I don't know if this is even a motion. This is just like kind of clarifying things. I think it is our purview. So if every, yeah, I think anyone speak up if they disagree. But yeah, we can make sure that that plan is something we include in our next meeting.
Very cool. Thank you very much. I will send some messages in the chat, um, to clarify maybe tomorrow. Um, and feel free to like reach out to me if anyone has any questions about that. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, take it easy. Yeah. So it seems like we're gonna be discussing next meeting the agenda for that hour and a half block of convention. Shouldn't be too complicated. Sorry to pull us from reviewing the survey responses. Um, if anyone else has anything to say about this topic, please stack. I just have one quick thing before we move on to the the potential priority suggestions. Um, and that is that um, you know, I'm actually not even gonna include that. We can move on. Sorry. All right. So we've got our. I want to move on to the potential priorities. Class engagement sounds like more. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Um. So, all right. I'm gonna pick on each of these in order: mandatory service, political education, mutual aid. Um, and if people have like little blurbs written out, they can copy paste it. So, yeah, I'll see. I don't know if Andrew's here, but Doc, could you talk a little bit about the potential mandatory service priority?
Yeah, sure. Before I do that though, I want to make sure I'm understanding what we were supposed to do. Are we just like writing why this should be a potential priority? Or are we supposed to be like drafting up a something for it? I wasn't quite clear what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, so I was thinking we uh the when you present a priority, it's kind of like making a case for the priority in the first place, so that's part of it. But I guess
Okay.
the priority itself is probably a few sentences about what like how we should tailor our resolutions, and I think that's what I was wanting to bring just and
Okay.
I wrote something very small, so don't worry
Okay.
about it.
Yeah. In that case for mandatory service then, the ideas that Andrew and I had was rather than having like a strict hourly thing where it's like we expect a certain number of mandatory hours, we were thinking just making it mandatory meeting, probably a general body meeting or something, or having a meeting or two a year that are plenipotentiary and they are what dictates whether or not you're able to like vote in one of the elections, for example. Um, just because if someone is participating in the elections, they should at least have a rough idea of what the chapter is doing. Um, like when I joined a year ago, I found it a little strange that I was able to participate in the election without knowing anything, without doing a single meeting, not knowing like any of the people, stuff like that. Um, so yeah, that was our idea. And also, of course, the reason why it might be important is because um, having people who will actually participate or have like mandatory participation could, uh, I mean, bring up participation numbers, obviously. Um, it's not always like people not willing to contribute. Sometimes they just need an extra push to do it. And just being told that something is mandatory could push them to do it. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you for putting work into that. I see Ari on stack.
Well, is that any different than what we have now?
So I guess it would be slightly more. Um, it's not that different. We already have a structure where you have to be an active member to um, vote on, s- I believe, a certain thing. I think it's just like generally voting for resolutions and elections. You have to be an active member, which is you showed up to a meeting. Uh, yeah, thank you, Killian.
Well, so I'm sorry. May I comment?
Hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking in my head instead of like an hour, like a legit hourly thing. What if there's just like a minimum number of like meetings and like showing up to like I don't know one event or something every 3 months? I just feel like it's not to minimize the meetings, but it's fairly easy to just show up at a meeting online and be there. You know, you have no idea if the people are kind of doing anything.
Yeah, it could. This is a conversation. Of course, like we're not for sure gonna take this on or anything, so that's a good idea. I think also maybe just saying like volunteering service generally is also a good idea. Doesn't have to be with DSA, Killian.
I think the idea of a service requirement for members to be considered quote unquote active, like they have to work a certain amount, has been floated for a while now. We're just not sure how to implement it, especially because there isn't a culture of people like people need to understand that they get a buy-in from their activity before we make it exclusive, or else there's immediately accusations of cliques and non-democratic behavior. So I'm not saying this is a bad idea, but how do we do the transition is what I want to ask us to start thinking about.
Okay, I see a direct response.
Or whatever. I don't know. I don't know which one it is. So my thinking uh is that you can I think the requirements to vote in certain things should be slightly different. Like so if
Hmm.
you're in a working group, I feel like you should have to be really active in it or like close to pretty active in it. Like I don't think you can join a working group, go to a meeting, and you should be able to just vote on their stuff. You know what I'm saying? For requirements for like other large votes, I could see the argument for like less of a barrier to it. You know what I'm saying?
I see duck on stack.
Before I go, were you going to keep going?
No,
I don't want to stop
it's
you.
okay. Go ahead.
Okay. I mean, my question would just be then, with what Killian posted of the active membership status, uh, how long has that been a thing? Because there was definitely a period when I first joined where I hadn't done any of those, and I was still eligible for voting.
Let me check if this is in the old bylaws or not. I did
Well,
a patch notes on them.
so
Okay.
this was yeah, this was made kind of after the new steering committee. I think this was right before delegate elections. I think that was February. No, that was it was like yeah, sorry. The reason we have active versus inactive status is so that you can't bring your friend group into DSA and just have them vote for you really quickly.
Right.
So it's a good faith understanding that, people are coming here to, participate, but don't like, don't try to like flood the chapter and think you're gonna uh
Okay, Section 4.
change the whole activity. Yeah.
Is this something that we actually track actively?
Um, we try to have people register at GBMs. W we are not, I would say it could be going better. But sorry, this is a little off topic. Yeah. Um, all right. I think we discussed the idea of mandatory service uh to a sufficient degree, and Stack is exhausted. Is there any last comments people want to make about that beforehand? Okay. So these meetings don't decide anything. This is just working together on ideas. If you want to bring this to a priority, um, as a priority, and you're not sure how, just let me or anyone in steering or any general leadership know, and they'll help you make a priority or a resolution if you need. And you can bring it to the convention. But I'll move on. Um, all right, political education. So I threw together something I feel that was a bit half-baked, but my idea here is here. Um, s- I think you know, when you have a breakfast program with Black Panthers or you have anything, you're teaching people their history, you're teaching people the actual situation, why they're suffering in inequality. And I think that's something that we need to make sure that we're including in our events. I think we need to fight the M McCarthyism that's in Delaware, um, through tying political education to uh, mutual aid and other events. Uh, Obviously, relevant political education, but anything that will get people thinking more on a bigger scale of like how they ended up here and feeling like they want to change things. Wayne?
Yeah, I think political education needs to be a big priority for us, and specifically outward facing political education is something we've we are lacking. We're doing a little bit better here and there, but I think ongoing aggressive efforts at outward facing political education is really important. When we talk to people in other orgs, and when we talk to new members in Delaware people who are just joining Delaware DSA, political education is almost always something that they mention wanting to both um, you know, participate in and receive. Um, some things that I would like to see if we were to pass this as a priority would be a suggested education program that would, cover the fundamentals of democratic socialism, Marxism, Leninism, as well as cover some of the more minutia of living in the imperial core. Um, as well as programs that are specifically meant to outreach, such as classes that we could teach for other organizations such as Indivisible, Working Family Parties, etc.
Um, yep. Any other stack? We can move on. All right. Ari?
I just have one quick question. So, what would do you think the what would be the logic behind? I mean, I know obviously education is always good, but what would be why would this be like a bigger priority than anything else that we could do?
Wayne?
Yeah, the Marxist-Leninist, I believe that action without theory is prone to being ineffective, and and theory without practice is meaningless. I believe that it's important for people to be educated on the history specifically of Marxism, Leninism, because if you don't understand it, you're prone to falling into the same pitfalls that people have fallen into for, hundreds of years. Specifically in our living in the imperial core and in neoliberalism, people are so propagandized that it's impossible for them to imagine a better world. We need to break through that bubble.
Ty?
Actually, I think Killian
Killian,
was ahead of me.
Killian's first.
I come to a similar conclusion from an anarchist perspective, that I think ideas lead everything else. Like you cannot do anything if you can't imagine it. And so I think education needs to take a really big front seat because we need to be able to talk to people at Indivisible and educate them about a better future. They need to be able to understand the way what we're living in order to be able to imagine something better. Like we can't get people to be more active in our organization if people can't imagine what a democratic socialist future looks like. So education needs to be something that I need help with it. I'm definitely like the big sore thumb sticking out here, not pulling the weight in poly ed. But we need more meetings there. We need people to just make things that they're knowledgeable in. Um, and really, it's that could be a cornerstone not just of the organization, but of the way people see politics and the way that they can do better.
All right. Let's make sure I want to
Ty,
go through
is Ty
every
still want to say?
Mhm.
direct response, but let's make sure we're keeping Elmo in mind. Ty?
Yeah, I can take my DR back. It was mostly covered.
Katie?
My direct response would be to Killian and
Mhm.
also Wayne. Sorry, this is my first time doing a direct response, I think.
It's okay.
Um, so I'm a little bit bad on the political education side because I've grown up with like Republicans in my house and specifically just like talking about like how keeping capital is like the best thing ever and haven't really heard much else. So I think people like me and also people in the Democratic Party in general here haven't really been exposed to that as much. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Can I say one? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, Ari.
Okay. My only thing is, there's I agree with some part of that. There needs to be theory, but on the same time, like getting really carried away with a lot of stuff. Um, you know, is it helpful? Like, is what we're learning helpful? Like, that's basically what a lot of it comes down to, and like focusing a lot of effort on stuff. And I tend to feel more like we should be doing stuff, maybe. And then like
If I can put
political
myself
education
on
is a very complex thing, and a lot of it's something that people need to have a really strong understanding of, to be able to teach it.
yeah, I'll just put myself on direct response. I want to, validate what you're saying. People not only get turned off by certain ideas sometimes, but are um, we need to make sure that we're not just coming off as demagogues,
Yes,
that
exactly.
don't actually have people's interests in mind. So that is something that we 100% have to keep in mind. That's all I'll say. Go ahead, Wayne.
People come to us and tell us they want this political education. People are hungry for it. And if we gather a huge flock and we don't have anything to teach them, we're not gaining anything. We're just
Can,
going to have a we're just going to have a disjointed, pointless, you know, coffee group.
All right. I'll I'll say Elmo here. Uh, you know, I think this was a great discussion on like thinking about what direction we want to go in. I'd love to talk about this more. Um, it's very important, but I want to hear from mutual aid. And that was again Duck. So we gave you a lot of homework this week.
Yeah. I mean, again, with the same thing as before, I don't think either of us were quite clear what we were supposed to do. I personally did not write anything about this. I'm not sure if Andrew did. We didn't make a thread like we did with the mandatory service aspect.
That's all right. I think then why
I'm
don't
a bad
we
leftist. I'm sorry.
um I still would like to spend like at least 5 minutes talking about this as a priority. I'm I'm pretty confident it's gonna end up on the list, but let's talk about it. Like what do we need to like what do we need to make sure we talk about when we make this priority? What kind of stuff are we gonna say like we need to make resolutions about? We already saw a lot of responses. Um, Duck.
I mean, so an idea I had, um, combining this priority maybe with the previous one, encouraging people to do mutual aid work outside of the organization, even if it's not something that the organization is like directly involved in. Um, encouraging people to like, participate at like food banks and stuff like that. Um, that was an idea that I personally had. I'm not sure if that would be something we would include in this, or we would just like say, hey, go do this. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, that's unique. I don't think anybody said that. We can always go back to the survey for whoever actually wants to put this together. Is there anyone else on Stack? Sorry, I'm like group meetings.
No.
Okay. Um, yeah, I'm fairly certain we're gonna end up with this as a um priority, but I would like us to maybe come back to this next meeting. Um, is anyone willing to take point on like what we should hyper focus on, or like give suggestions for what the priority should look like, and basically say like we've got this going on in Delaware, and this is why we need to address it. Like we have so many things we need to do mutual aid for, but we just want to have it written out. And I see Stack Carrie.
I'm not offering to take point on this, but and I'm also late to the discussion, so I apologize if this has already been discussed as far as like where mutual aid is going. But there seems to be a push on mutual aid to start addressing like legislation that is affecting populations living in poverty. In addition, there seems to be a push for gathering of resources and establishing a network, which means talking to other organizations, identifying point people who, if DSA cannot create or manage a distribution, that we're funneling resources to a partner agency. So those processes and people are all part of that priority of making a mutual aid network like actual in Delaware.
Thank you for your brain power, Carrie. Uh, I wanna also mention that there was a push earlier in the year that didn't take off, a hope for a southern branch of food not bombs. So that's something we could talk about. Um, but yeah, I think I'd be happy to be one of the people working on this because I think I really want to make sure that in some form mutual aid is a priority because it's, pretty key to any dual power or clean break strategy to show that you can meet the needs of people. So yeah, I'll be happy to help out with mutual aid. Um, great. I'll say we're good on that. And that's all the ideas that we had from last meeting. We kind of reviewed. Um, yeah, I'll move on to new business if that's all right with everyone. All right. Really quickly, um, I'd like to motion that we switch our meeting time to same day, but at 8:30 p.m. Can I get a second? And I'm
Second.
asking this so I can go to Velo meetings.
Second.
Wayne seconds. Thank you. Um, all right. I'll ask for unanimous consent. Killian will allow it, even though he'll be sleepy. That's so brave. Go ahead, Wayne.
I just want to briefly say for some of our newer members that when unanimous consent is asked for, it essentially means asking for a unanimous vote. So if anyone objects, then we can, make it go to a voice vote or a counted vote.
Thank you for clarifying. Um, all right, really quickly to finish us out, Lewis was talking about co convention itself. So I was thinking we could take on a little work on kind of having a centralized place, maybe the bulletin board or some kind of set of Q&As that people could do, like which priorities will you do you care most about, or like which, basically give a chance for people to advertise themselves. So I was wondering if anybody here would be willing to help, and we'll also ask this to membership engagement and get you some more help, hopefully. But is anyone willing to take point on kind of getting a candidate um, hub process going? So maybe where people who are nominated for election, once that's figured out, can like we can come up with some questions people can answer, or like have a centralized place. Um, I see Killian offers, so thank you for that. Um, and Wayne mentions that we have a Google form that I'm sure we will eventually find. Um, all right. So for now, we got Killian on it, and we'll ask again to membership engagement people if there's anybody who has time. Um, is there anything else? I think we'll move on to open forum. All right. If nobody has, oh, yeah, sorry about that. Really quickly, I see we're at almost at 8:30, but really sorry. So let me read through this. Ideal version of DSA. So we're talking about let's deliberate open tent versus uh party line vanguardism and stuff like that. We got Killian in the room, so careful asking this question. Um, so this question, I believe, is aimed to say that having a I think this might be a democratic centralism question. So I think personally, and anybody stack anytime if they have a comment on this question, especially Ari. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I wasn't thinking too much into theory about this necessarily, but my thoughts are, um, what I find is that it seems like DSA itself, and even in other chapters, they a lot of times will just kind of uh attach themselves to, other initiatives that like other groups are doing. Like they'll, be involved with like a specific labor thing or whatever. And so what I'm wondering is whether maybe we could see an org where we're mostly trying to recruit people, and we have kind of like a bunch of different people from different orgs can come and, tell us about their initiatives and all kinds of other stuff. Or I think like a lot of the cases in our group, a lot of the organizers themselves are here. And yeah, that would be more like vanguardist. That the second one. That I would admit.
Hmm.
Like we have specific, like we're mostly focused on the organizers, and we make our own initiatives and all that stuff.
You're making an important point. I think it here's the thing, um, you gotta crawl before you walk and kind of thing. You gotta walk before you run. Uh,
Can I respond to Wayne?
mhm.
Uh, they're not necessarily, but I feel like it would be helpful if we focus our efforts a little bit more on something specific. I just feel like trying to do too many things, especially when we're a smaller org, and if we think that we want to attach ourselves to other things, then recruiting a lot of people is probably a lot more important.
Killian?
So I think this is getting to the existential question of, are we an organization that is in leadership of the masses, or are we trying to put the masses together and just allocate resources? Um, are these things mutually exclusive? Not necessarily, but because DSA is built the way it is, and because of the history that we have, and the fact that the Democrats are so dominant, we are just a mass organization. So how can we switch over to a vanguardist form? I think right now people need leadership, and people really want leadership, and there needs to be something that represents all these other organizations that we partner with or want to partner with, because Democrats aren't doing it or aren't going to do it. Um, how do we make these two things not mutually exclusive? Because I don't think they are.
So if I can put myself on stack, no, I won't tie.
No, go for it.
We It's 8:30. I want uh yeah, go ahead, Ty, please. I want us to get through without tiring everybody
So
out.
I think it's really better to take the conversation to a poly-ed channel. This is also a great example as to why continuous theory and education conversations are exactly important, because it'll understand the difference of change of theory, or theory of change rather, where there's different directions to go. But from a historical synopsis of how our specific chapter exists and has existed, um, most of the other organizations that we are involving ourselves with their projects is because they have paid staffers that have created their campaigns. And regardless of whether we want to get something done, the work needed to get done. So if somebody's already helping digging the hole, talking to the shovel doesn't help. We got to get in the hole and dig with them. In the same capacity of we want to have our own projects and our own sponsored sort of events or stewardship in regards to things. Absolutely great idea. Certainly nothing wrong with it. Who is going to do it? If it's the person that mentions the idea and then that person leaves the room and never comes back, nothing. No one will do it because it has to be a conversation of things and then a collaboration and then usually a criticism of that collaboration in a way that makes it more effective and efficient and then an actual doing of the thing. And that is not 5 decisions, but instead probably 5,000 in the middle of it. And so it has to be a consistent communication that happens. And that's from a historical aspect of how our chapter has previously struggled. Although we have several new members here, we are light years ahead of where we were even last year. So I can give a real deep, in-depth conversation about that when we're not running up against a time barrier.
All right. Last
Okay,
stack on this
it's all
comment.
right.
All right. I think we're definitely, it's good to talk about things so we can point out like issues how we can address it. I'm just gonna read Wayne's message. All right. All right. I'm gonna ask to move on to open forum. If that's good with everybody. Good, good, good. Then I'll write out some next action items, but yeah, if we got Killian working on the nomination and elections. We got I wanted to come back again with another mutual aid a crack at mutual aid priority, and then I would suggest go ahead, Killian.
So since we're just getting down to the final like real purpose of the program commission, like it's really just about getting these different bits of our program together. We should be thinking, do we want to make a full program or like do we want to write out a long vision of what's wrong with Delaware, what do we want to do, and all these priorities, or do we want to spend the rest of our time working on priorities? Um, I think the next few meetings are going to be basically us drafting priorities and probably voting between each other which ones are we going to propose to everybody. Um, but I want us to think about what do we want to give to people at the convention? Do we want to give them a bunch of priorities? Do we want to give them a whole program? Um, that's all I got for you. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the work that you've done here. I appreciate all your time.
I mean, I think a lot of us know the assignment.
Yeah.
Um, that's a good question. Um, so maybe it's something that could be on the next meeting agenda. Um, all right. Thank you all. I went over action items. Um, one more thing, Ari, I would suggest. I'm not saying you got to do this, but I would suggest you come with a potential membership engagement as a priority, or even I could work with you on a resolution or amendment to the charter. Um, but yeah, that's all I had to say. I'm gonna ask to adjourn the meeting here.
Get a second.
Beautiful. Thank you all for joining in. I appreciate you guys. It's over. Get out.
Thanks,
Rude.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night, Joel.
Take it easy.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
just reading over what you said, Ari.
Killian, answer it.
And thank you again for leading it out.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Good
I'm
meeting.
getting back into it. I'm finally here again.
You
You
gotta
got to.
tell us what happened in your vacation.
Europe was freaking awesome. I saw America from the outside, and it looks even worse than it feels like from the inside.
Where did you
Did
go?
it just look like the mucus from the Mucinex commercials?
Yeah, I haven't gotten over my
Good night, Doc.
congestion.
No, I mean
Um,
physically, like how do we look to the rest of the world? Just like a big lump of inflammation?
like imperialism, like it's like we just entered the era of imperialism. It's really funny. It's like 3 days after I left, I was like, when I left, I was like, "Ah, I'm gonna have an awesome time not paying attention to America. I'm gonna look now and
Oof.
again, and the second I thought that, I felt the pang of the opposite. The Marxist in me was like, nope, there's gonna be international war like declared like the second you're out of the country. Okay, there we go. Kidnapping the leader of another country, uh, and then demanding a new Sudetenland. Like that really looks normal. That really looks normal. Um, so yeah, Europe's cool. My family's awesome over there. I'm kind of pissed to be back because I'm looking for jobs and I just am getting my shit together. And by that I mean not really getting my shit together. Um, it was really cold, so unfortunately I didn't get to do much. Like everything that I wanted to go to Austria, I wanted to go to Vienna, but everything was closed. I wanted to go to Tabor, this like old city where they did Christian communalism like 200 years before Marx.
That's really
Um,
interesting.
everything was closed,
How do
so
you
I didn't
find
go.
out about these things?
I just like learned. So, um, one time I was hanging out in a bar with a guy who is from Tabor, and he was like, "Yeah, 200 years before communism, they were doing it, um, like as like knights and shit
That's dope.
in this old city called Tabor." And so I looked it up, and that is true. Christian communalism comes from there, and so it comes from the long history of the Hussites and the Protestant Reformation, and how like the Bohemian area became this like enclave of democratic norms where everything else just like was ruled by Germans and barbarians and etc.
We're gonna be
Uh,
barbarians soon.
yeah, we've made it to barbarism. We're not our asses are not getting socialism. We made it to barbarism. They chose for us like 20 years ago.
Maybe
Wait,
acid.
Tim, how long have you been here?
Just joined. Missed the party.
That
Sorry to
is
interrupt you, Ty.